politics, and more with John Brown and Nick Durst, live on the UCY.TV network.
Spanning your radios coast to coast and all around the globe, it's sports, politics, and more. I am one of your hosts, Nick Durst. John running a little late due to horrendous New York City traffic, and he'll be with us shortly. But before I even start the show, I want to congratulate John and his wife, who will be expecting their second child come May. So congratulations to the Brown family. And since John is running late, we got our field reporter right here with us to start the show. Andrew, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It was a really hectic week in Manhattan and New Jersey, and we're going to talk on that in depth once John gets here. For those of you out of the tri-state area listeners, there was unfortunately a bomber who set some bombs off in Chelsea, Manhattan, and also in New Jersey. Luckily, the authorities were able to capture him on Tuesday, and the media was trying to hide this nationwide. Crazy stuff as usual with Hillary and Trump's reaction to this. The New York City mayor, he was a little lost on this whole thing. But yeah, so Andrew, I know you went into the city today, as did I, for work. I saw a ton of police around the city today. What did you see when you took the train in? And also, how was your lunch with John? What did you eat?
Okay, first of all, I didn't take the subway in today. I actually took the Interborough Express bus to and from Manhattan today. And first of all, with regards to police presence, many people do not know who are not in the New York City tri-state area. The United Nations General Assembly meeting is taking place right now, and there's a lot of gridlock going on in Manhattan particularly. And I was happened to be on 3rd Avenue today, and there was a lot of police presence, police officers basically telling people where to go. And right before I got into my express bus, there were more officers on 57th Street in Lexington, and right before the bus was turning onto the on-ramp of the Egg-Koch Bridge, there was police presence there. So basically, because of what has happened past weekend with regards to New Jersey and recently with the bombing in Chelsea, there's been a lot of police presence going on in the borough of Manhattan now.
Yeah, it's really insane. The UN being here this week really just makes the traffic and everything worse. Luckily, the president's not coming to Manhattan this week because that would be absolutely crazy. And
he actually was in Manhattan yesterday. He was.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually saw a diplomat get into his car today on 3rd Avenue.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did.
And then you have to mention last Thursday, was it? The guy with the meat cleaver. That was absolutely crazy that a guy took a meat cleaver around Herald Square, Penn Station in New York City, and attacked a cop with it, and then he was shot by the cops. I happened to be on 34th Street at the time, and there were so many ambulances, and fire trucks, and police, and there was so many helicopters. It was a pretty scary situation because I had no idea what was going on. I was just concerned about my bus coming, which wasn't going to come because 7th Avenue was closed, so I had to walk down to 5th Avenue. And Andrew, what was your take on that crazy guy with the meat cleaver?
Well, with regards to the meat cleaver, this was a guy who basically was sleeping in his vehicle, and the police basically told him that he was parked illegally and he had the vehicle. The guy with the meat cleaver did not obviously respond, and that's why you had 2 police officers get stabbed with a meat cleaver in that regard.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. People are just really crazy nowadays, and it's a real shame. Now, we'll go back to the political stuff. Obviously, we have the debate coming up this week, and Andrew, you'll be covering it for us and giving us a recap next Wednesday. Isn't that right?
Yes. Believe it or not, I found out today that the debate coverage doesn't begin until after 9 o'clock, which I thought, wait a second. Wasn't it supposed to begin at 8 o'clock? But then, as I'm watching, World News with David Muir, obviously, they said, no, we're starting the coverage at 9 o'clock. But, yes, I'll be all over it. I will definitely be watching the whole debate. And I honestly think that it's going to be a lot of tension and heat between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, obviously.
Yeah, and it's going to be really bad for Hillary because her allergies is really going to be flaring up because apparently she's allergic to Donald Trump. So how many times do you think she's going to cough that night?
Well, she'll be 30 minutes away from me that night. I hope she doesn't get close to me.
All right, so we'll get back to the politics in the second half of our show tonight. We're on from 8 to 9. And as always, if you want to discuss anything with us, you can write in the UCY lobby chat. We'll check out any comments you have there. Tweet us at I'm at Nick_Durst. And Andrew, what is your Twitter handle for the fans out there?
At Andy's Randomness.
All right, so you can check out Andrew there or tweet me. John will be on later on the show. He's at SI_sports. Or, of course, just give us a call right now, 1-718-717-8296. We'll talk about anything. The floor is yours. This is a show for the people. And, Andrew, since we don't have John here, real quick, why don't we talk a little WWE, which we haven't done in a while on this show. And
yes, I think we should talk WWE.
It's great stuff. And how awesome has The Miz been as of late?
Well, you have your different take on The Miz. My take on The Miz is he's been cheating. He's been plain cheating. He's been spraying some. Well, keep in mind that this past Tuesday on SmackDown, he sprayed something in The Miz's eye, and then Miz's wife the previous week obviously sprayed something in The Miz's eye. And I was thinking, Dolph could have been champion twice. And yet, The Miz was cheating. Plain simple. And look, I can... The Miz, he'll do anything to win. But I don't think he's a coward. Okay? I don't think he's a coward at the end of the day. Imagine if you were doing something passionately every single night and you didn't want to be taken away from you. This is The Miz in his case. So, basically, The Miz is so desperate to win every single night that he has to go to the extreme. And that's what he's been doing to Dolph Ziggler.
Listen, he gets the job done, and that's what you got to do as a champion. You're a heel, win dirty, doesn't matter. You got a great manager in Maurice, and he's just doing a great job. And I thought his match against Dolph Ziggler at Backlash was easily the best match of the pay-per-view.
Oh, definitely. It had a lot of intrigue. It had a lot of passion. And, I really enjoyed that match. Plain simple. I have to agree with you. It really was the best match of the whole
And
night.
how do you feel about the Miz using a lot of Daniel Bryan's moves as of late?
Oh boy. I think that he is trying to send a message to Daniel Bryan that, listen, you're the one who called me a coward, okay? And in order to send you a message, I'm going to copy your wrestling style. That's what he's trying to send to Daniel Bryan. And look, I can understand that Daniel Bryan is the general manager of SmackDown. I understand that. But, for the intrigue of the storyline saying that, the Miz and Daniel Bryan are going to feud because Daniel Bryan told him one word, I want to see this rivalry continue. And who knows, out of the ordinary, maybe Daniel Bryan will put on his wrestling boots and get in the ring with the Miz again.
It's going to be really interesting to see if he gets back in the ring. I don't know if he's going to ever be medically cleared, but they're definitely teasing something. Maybe Daniel Bryan will call somebody up from the Indies, like Samoa Joe, and to take the title off Miz. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's very interesting what's going on there.
A lot of good talent in NXT right now. A lot of good talent down there.
Definitely. Absolutely. The talent is good. And what you think of Raw Monday? I thought the Cruiserweight Fatal 4-Way number one contender match was excellent, but I was a little surprised that the champion, TJ Perkins, was not even ringside afterwards or anything to, talk to the Wizard of Oz, Brian Kendrick, who's his challenger this Sunday.
Can you repeat that again? Something was just popping up on my phone. Sorry.
Sure. So, Monday night, the Cruiserweight division debuted on Raw, and the Cruiserweight champ wasn't on the show, but there was an excellent Fatal 4-Way Cruiserweight match. What did you think of that?
I actually wasn't watching that.
All right, not a problem, but it was definitely a great show. Definitely a great show. So, is there anything else in wrestling right now that's really sticking out to you?
Well, to be honest, the only thing that's really intriguing me in terms of the wrestling lately has to be, the whole idea of Seth Rollins being champion again. I have enjoyed Kevin Owens being the champion, yes.
The longest reigning Universal Champion of all time, Kevin Owens.
Listen. I like Kevin Owens' wrestling style. I mean, even though he acts like a jerk every time he comes out, I'm impressed on the way he wrestles. Okay? He impresses me in the ring. And even, if he loses the belt to Seth Rollins, so be it. But, I think right now, if Kevin Owens is going to be champ for a pretty lengthy amount of time, I would enjoy that. Because it basically tells us fans that, listen, we're accepting this is a new era in WWE.
You know what,
Andrew,
it's the TNA era. All these TNA guys are in WWE right now and succeeding. And you know what? What was the best part of Raw? It was the Jericho stupid itty.
That thing with the clipboard. I saw that.
It was amazing. And then you had New Day in the ring and Enzo and Cass, the Shining Stars trying to sell timeshares. Sami Zayn. It was just incredible. The club who were terrible.
Colin Cassidy is a proud representative of Queens. I appreciate him.
How you doing? Yeah, he's definitely a big cast, big guy. He'll be a champ. He'll be the champ one day.
I hope he is. He's 7'12". He's very talented. And again, if he's Universal Champion, I would love to see that.
He's 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. And something else you can't teach is football and National Football League, which we're transitioning to here now, and that's high-powered offenses and scoring touchdowns. Now, Sunday, the Giants defeated the Saints. We all thought it was going to be a high-scoring game, but it was only 16-13. I was very surprised. What did you think about that low-scoring game?
Well, I was at a bar in Wilson Park watching the game, and I was very disappointed that the Giants did not put enough points on the board. Yes, Victor's Cruz did a salsa dance in the end zone. But keep in mind, the Giants had so many opportunities in the end zone, they couldn't score. Plain simple. And I don't want to hear this garbage after Sunday. If somehow it's a low-scoring game against the Redskins, oh well, we can't convert in the end zone. Oh, much defensive pressure. Blah 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 blah. Listen, you're in the end zone. Just convert. You have a chance this weekend against an 0-2 Redskin team. Can you score enough touchdowns to prove that you're going to be 3-0? Because keep in mind, the Vikings look like a threat maybe, so I want to win this game for crying out loud.
Yeah, we're going to talk NFL, but Andrew, I've got some breaking news. And
what's that?
Guess who's back in the news again? A former congressman from Fresh Meadows. I believe he was congressman. Anthony Weiner.
Ah, no, I knew you were going to bring that up. I already did a reaction vlog on my YouTube channel. I'm happy to talk about it again.
He has been caught sexting a 15-year-old girl. This guy is a disgrace. He's sick in the head. He's a Hillary Clinton supporter.
I want to tell you how I found out. I didn't mention this in the vlog, but for our listeners, I'll tell you how I found out about this. So, lately now, me and John have been having lunch, and lately I've been having a lot of fatty stuff. I got to curb it down. But anyhow, while me and John were having lunch at this Irish pub, which is right next to his office, believe it or not, basically, John was on his phone as usual. I'm on my phone too, eating. So, John tells me, holy crap, Anthony Weiner got caught sexting again. And before that even happened, he's like, I love this fake Anthony Weiner Twitter account. I'm like, what? So, then he looks up, why is he trending on Twitter? And then he tells me about all the stuff about, the girl wanted all these sexual desires. Like, are you kidding me? This is an underage woman. Okay? 15 years old. It's a joke. And I hope this guy ends up in prison. And Governor Cuomo, even though I don't really agree with his that much, said it himself best today. This is disturbing, and it's very sickening.
Yeah, the guy is sick in the head. He needs some help. Hopefully, he could somehow get it. And good thing his wife finally left him, because this guy is a disgrace, and I can't believe that he's been caught multiple times. I forget what his fake name was. It was ridiculous.
Carlos Danger.
Carlos Danger, and he just continues living dangerously, and now he's sexting underage women. That's criminal. He could be considered a sex offender.
Oh, he's going to have to register as a sex offender. Absolutely.
Yep. So that's just disgusting and despicable. And I just saw that him trending on Twitter. We had to bring that up. The guy's a disgrace, but Andrew did in fact meet him before he was corrupt. And
yes, true story. I did meet Anthony Weiner.
Absolutely insane how you met. You met Anthony Weiner, and you saw Regis Philbin. I mean, the extremes of the people you meet. Really something.
Oh, yeah. I run into the craziest people. It's nuts.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go back to some NFL here.
All right.
And week 2, the Patriots won again, this time with Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jacoby Brissett came in, but I don't think it matters. I think the Patriots, they're just going to keep winning. It's pretty insane, don't you think?
First of all, what the Patriots have done has shocked me. But even without Tom Brady, it has basically surprised me as an NFL fan. And listen. Remember this. Garoppolo tomorrow night is a game-time decision. Okay? We're not going to know, possibly, until the CBS coverage even begins. So, keep that in mind. I mean, look, you're playing against the good Houston Texans team. I understand that. But, I heard a rumor from one of my bosses at Northwell Health this week that Julian Edelman could be the starting quarterback on Thursday night.
Yeah, he's gonna be the backup. They said officially, but I would love to see him play.
Julian Edelman, listen, I don't know how good his arm is. No one knows how good his arm is, but maybe he has a good arm. Maybe that's a possibility that somehow this kid has an arm.
Well, he did play quarterback in college. Did you know that?
Wow, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, so I think it would be pretty interesting, and that'd be pretty nuts, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that game. But I think the Patriots, they got a legit shot now to go 4-0 without Tom Brady. And as John said 2 weeks ago, don't make Tom Brady mad. He's going to come back in Week 5 taking on the Browns, who will probably be on their 5th quarterback of the season by then. And he's going to just destroy them.
Wow. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So what me and John usually do each week here is give our picks, and since John is in traffic due to the UN and whatnot, we're going to get some picks from Andrew over here, which should be very interesting. And Andrew, if anyone wants to, check out some of your prediction videos and stuff, and your reactions to things, what's your YouTube channel? Where can they find that?
Andy's Randomness.
There you go. Andrew's got a bunch of things on there, reaction to political stuff and video games, and what's your reaction to the WWE 2K17 trailer?
Wow, I am impressed. I want to play this game badly, and more importantly, I want AJ Styles on my main roster.
Is he in the game? I don't think so.
From what the gameplay video looks like, he is in the game.
Oh, he is in the game. All right, so he'll be on the main roster then, not a problem.
He better be, because, he's important to WWE.
I think it's a disgrace that Goldberg you have to pre-order to get him. But, it is what it is. So, back to the games here. Let's start off with the Thursday night game. We just mentioned the Patriots. They're going to be taking on the Houston Texans, a battle of undefeated teams. Who's going to win?
The undefeated teams. Wow. This storyline gets pretty interesting as the day goes on, obviously. Texans better win this. I'm sorry. They got to win.
So you think the Texans got to win, or you think they're going to win?
They're going to win. I saw the spread this week. It's a 3-point favorite for the Texans.
All right, so you got the Texans winning.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots are they're going to win. And
it depends if Garoppolo's playing. It depends.
I think Edelman could run all over them. I just don't think it matters at this point with who's the quarterback, and it's absolutely insane how scary good the Patriots are. Next game, real quick, Ravens taking on the Jaguars. Who do you got?
Ravens are gonna win. Come on.
Absolutely. I think the Ravens will win as well. And the Jaguars were hyped up, but I don't really think they're going to do too well.
Hang on. We're getting a call right now, and let me introduce this guy. Mike in New Haven. You're on spam.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Doing
Mike,
good.
welcome to the show. A long-time caller, and a long-time listener as well. Welcome to Sports, Politics, and More. I'm not sure if you've been on this show or on the UCY radio network, and also available on the TuneIn app. Great to have you on the call here. We're talking some NFL. And before we get into NFL, you had a great call with Mike Francesa this week. He's a radio host in New York, big time, and I'm sure everybody here knows who he is. So, Mike, why don't you shed a little light on your relationship with the big guy?
I wouldn't call it a friendship as you did earlier on Twitter, but it wasn't my best call. I was going to talk about something simple with Odell Beckham and Sterling Moore. He didn't want to talk it. I wanted to sneak in a Yankee point. He just hung up. So I wouldn't call it a great call. It wasn't my best work.
Yeah,
but
30 seconds.
It was only 30 seconds, 33 to be exact. So it was nothing to write home about.
That's embarrassing. Yeah.
That was especially for a regular caller like me. It was not exactly my highest, my finest hour. So I just got dissed, and when don't I? And actually, earlier I'm thinking, geez, why does he dislike me? I asked Monzo that, and they said on the podcast that he doesn't. So I'll just take their word for it. But they said that if you listen to Mac and Mons today, because I had a new episode that came out, that ultimately he just wants to hear from different people. But they love the regular callers, but he wants to hear from new people from time to time.
Yeah, I think Andrew's got to call in. What do you think, Mike? I think Andrew should have some hot takes with Mike.
He calls FAN. He calls Steve Summers and Tony Page, but I haven't heard him call Mike.
Mike.
He hasn't called Mike in a while. What's up with that, Andrew?
Well, the reason why I haven't been calling Mike, I've been busy, number one. And number two, I can tell Francesa has had enough of this. I mean, let's be honest here. He's had the same job for almost 30 years. At some point, it gives you a headache. It makes you realize, do I want to be here every day? I mean, I'm basically at a point in my life where I can retire and have nothing to lose. I could leave right now and lose nothing. So to hear calls from us simple sports fans basically makes Mike have his headaches. And
I think
he has to eventually. I agree. It's time for him to leave FAN. It's time for youth and excitement.
But at the end of the day, I think one thing before you jump in here, Nick, it's that I think that's what makes the departure of Mad Dog all the more difficult. That even though in ratings wise he succeeded big time by remaining the number one sports show, the thing that makes it easier to get through those long days is having a partner, and the fact that he doesn't have that partner anymore. And going on almost 8, well, it's already been 8 years. This August marked 8 years since they broke up. It's all the more tough, and it makes them all the more annoyed, especially when you got guys like me, guys like Michael Montclair, and the list goes on.
Yeah, I think...
and Mike in Floral Park, who is the worst dog caller in history.
Well,
I might know who he is, actually.
You know what Mike should do? Mike, after he retires, he should do some TV again. Maybe he can co-host High Heat on the MLB Network. That would be an interesting combination there. Or I would be perfect for First Take. Or maybe once Shannon Sharp blows with Undisputed, he could do him and Skip. That'd be absolutely ridiculous. None of these things are going to happen now. But Andrew, my favorite call of yours recently was when you called up a few months ago. Joe and Evan asked what number was Jose Reyes going to wear, and they broke it down. You don't get that freedom on other shows. But Reyes has been incredible for the Mets.
Oh boy,
season.
let me tell you, if I called Francesa and I asked him that question, you know what he would do? Goodbye, you're gone. Joe and Evan have. I think Evan is more patient to be on the radio. I don't know what it is. It's like Evan loves talking about sports.
Joe and Evan is the true show for the people. Every Monday, whether they win or lose, you got to hear Joe. I'm not even a Jets fan. You got to hear Joe talking about the Jets. And after a Mets
he didn't do it again. I thought he did it again. Gary Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez.
You watching the Yankees right now?
Yeah, I'm watching the Yankees. I thought Gary Sanchez went deep.
Gary's scary. Let's talk a little NFL here. So we do enter those games. Let's just jump right into the games that we really care about the most here. And that's going to be the Chiefs are hosting the New York Jets. So I guess
that's going to be a good game.
Mike, who's gonna win this game and why? Who's gonna be the X factor?
Well, if you're looking at the Jets, they had to have that game against Buffalo. There was no way that they could leave Buffalo 0-2. If they did, you might as well have called a funeral for the Jets after.
Oh yes.
Thankfully, they pulled it out. They got the big win over old friend Rex and his brother Ryan, or Rob, I should say. So they're 1-1. Things are looking a little bit better. It's going to be tough. It's one of the loudest places to play. It's a very hostile crowd. It never fails to be hostile down there, especially when the Chiefs have been the playoff team these last few years. If anything, Alex Smith, who's a good quarterback, he's been inconsistent these first 2 weeks, and that Jet defense doesn't look like it's slowing down. If they can exploit his inconsistency, then they have a good chance. Fitzpatrick and the offense looked brilliant. I think for as tough as it is to play in Kansas City, like I said, especially with the Chiefs being as good as they have been these last few years, it's all in favor for the New York Jets to walk out with the win just because of the way the offense has looked and the fact that the defense has, if anything, taken a step forward, which is scary considering how good they've been these last few years.
All right. Quickly, I'm going to make a prediction on this game because I got to hang up soon. I have to agree with Mike on what he just said. I mean, the Jets basically have everything to lose if they don't win this game. And, everybody says it all the time. Kansas City is the hardest stadium to play in. I mean, the fans get so loud, you can barely even hear yourself think. And I remember when the Giants were playing there a few years ago, I'm thinking, wait a minute, Eli can't hear the offensive calls being made. So, again, Kansas City is not easy to play in. But I'm hoping this game ends up being close. Even if Jamal Charles is not playing at running back, I still think this is going to be a fun and exciting game to keep an eye on. But at the end of the day, somehow, I just see the Chiefs winning this game.
Yeah, I would agree. The Chiefs got the home field advantage. That's really huge in this. As Mike said, if the Jets left Buffalo 0-2, they were going 0-6. I think the Jets are going 1-5 now.
Hey, guys, I think John's with us.
Hey,
John.
Oh, that means I got to go. Bye, guys.
take it easy, Andy.
There you go. Andrew,
Thanks,
thanks for
Andrew.
calling in. We got our host, John Brown, back with us now. And, John, we're joined by a longtime caller of the program, Mike in New Haven.
Hey, Mikey, what's going on, brother? I saw your call to Mike Francis the other day. Good stuff.
Thank you, man. How you doing?
Good. Other than New Jersey Transit being a huge pain in the ass, apparently they found some fake bomb thing in the Bronx, and because of that, the bus that was supposed to come, I live in some middle of nowhere, Jersey, and the bus that was supposed to come never came, so I ended up catching a super late bus. My commute was fucking 2.5 hours.
Better safe than sorry, man, because that was a scary experience over the weekend. That could have been a lot worse than it was.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was some crazy shit. Good thing that guy sucked at what he did. But
Yeah, and we're going to get into that a little more on the show. Right now, John, you're joining us. We're doing our NFL picks, which is perfect timing by you. And before we get to that, I just wanted to let all listeners know out there that coming this May, we're going to have a new super fan joining the Sports, Politics, and More family. So, John, congratulations to you and your wife expecting the second child.
oh yeah. You know what? I've known for a while now, but we waited until we heard a heartbeat on the the sonogram or whatever to tell people. So everyone's surprised, and I'm like, oh, I've known. But yeah, having my second kid, I think it's probably going to be our last. My wife's going to be 35, and that's the end of having babies for the most part. So I think 2, and we're good. So at least we replaced ourselves, keeping the world going.
All right, more Matt and Nick and Giant fans. Perfect for just what the world needs. So congratulations to that. And we're just talking right now. We gave our picks for Jets Chiefs. Who do you think's going to win that game and why?
Mike in New Haven or me?
Mike already gave his pick, and me and him are in agreement with Andrew. We think the Chiefs have the home field advantage here. So who do you think is going to win?
I am actually going to disagree. I'm going Jets. I think the Jets, their front seven is phenomenal. The Chiefs, they've won some close games, but I'm not a believer. I think that Alex Smith is going to, when he's rushed, he's going to make mistakes. And I'm going Jets, but it's going to be an ugly game, a field goal. So, if the Jets manage to lose it because they suck and Nick Foles, misses a chip shot or something, I can see them losing. But I'm going with the Jets +3.
Righty. Usually we try to hit on the biggest games, and, no game is bigger than this one. The Cleveland Browns are going to take on the Dolphins in Miami.
Oh, God.
Who is going to win that game? The Browns are on their 5th straight game with a different quarterback, which is just insane. Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to win because despite their record, they have a good defense. And I think Tannehill, he could put up the points. He's got good receivers and decent running backs. We'll start with Mike.
You got to look at yourself and a couple things here. If you're a football team and you lose to the Browns, you have to reevaluate your life priorities. If you're a head coach and the Browns beat you. And the second thing is, why the heck are the Browns playing on national television? Why are they on CBS? Why is this game at 1 o'clock the game that is on CBS? I mean, they're not exactly games to salivate over because the other choice is Oakland and Tennessee, but I'd much rather take that over the Browns and the Dolphins. This is not 1986. This is not those great Browns teams that made it to the AFC Championship squaring off against Dan Marino. This is the laughingstock of not just the NFL, but sports as a whole, taking on a franchise that hasn't been relevant since Bill Parcells was there a decade ago. So I'll take the Miami Dolphins to win this game just because it's the Browns, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins lose this game because they're the Dolphins.
Yeah, and Hugh Jackson, or as my man Chris Sims likes to call him during the live broadcast last week of the game, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, he's got a rough go of it with his roster right now. I think their strategy is just to get the number 1 pick to hopefully take a quarterback. But they could have took Carson Wentz, and they didn't. John, I think you're going to agree the Dolphins will win in this game. Is that right? And then we can move on to a more important game.
Absolutely. If you look at the power rankings that came out this week, the Dolphins are the second to last team, but the only team that's below them is Cleveland. And, with a healthy RG3, maybe they're good, but RG3's made of glass. They lose first overall pick.
There you have it. And then let's go to this other game here that is of intrigue. It's probably the top game of the week. The Broncos are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. This one, it could go either way. I would say that I think the Bengals are going to win this one because they are at home. They're coming off a game last week where they played a tough opponent in their division, always a divisional matchup, tough opponent. They played in Pittsburgh, so they lost. But I think the Bengals they're still a very good team. John, who do you got in this game? Bengals, Broncos?
I'm actually going Bengals, and that's because, breaking news, Tyler Eifert actually practiced this week. I'm following it because he's my fantasy tight end. I got him as a steal. But the guy had 12 touchdowns last year. He's a real difference maker. And when he's out on the field, you really can't give safety help to, A.J. Green. So, essentially, I think that's going to be the difference maker if he plays. And I'm going Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yep. All right. And Mike, who do you got in this game?
I'll take... I'll have to agree with John. It's going to be a battle of defenses, but I think Cincinnati will pull it out solely because when it comes to offense, Andy Dalton and A.J. Green is enough to get you by. The Broncos they won't be as good as they were last year, obviously, with Peyton and Brock Osweiler both moving on. But they'll be all right this year, but they won't be all right in this game. The Bengals will top the Broncos on Sunday.
Yep. That's how I say Revis would look awful against A.J. Green. And I don't think the Broncos, good defense, but I just think that the Bengals, because the game's at home, it's going to make a big difference. Plus, they're coming off a loss in a tough game, divisional opponent. But both teams are probably playoff teams. And we'll do this game, and then Mike will let you go. And thanks for calling him. I really appreciate it. Call anytime you wish. And it's the most important game of the week as far as I'm concerned. And you got the Washington Redskins coming to East Rutherford, New Jersey, to MetLife Stadium, and they're going to be taking on the New York Football Giants, who sit in first place, 2-0 in the NFC East. John, we'll start with you first.
Obviously, I'm going Giants here. You got the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. Their defense played much better last week. The offense is starting to click. We got our running games actually working. We won last week, and it was close, but you got to realize we had 3 straight possessions where we turned the ball over. And obviously those are, problems, but they weren't sloppy turnovers in the sense of, misran route interceptions. It was, a call where Eli Zinger's on the ground, a strip sack type deal. So I'm not worried about the offense at all. I think the offense is really going to click. I think if Victor Cruz can prove to the league that you got to cover him and you really got to think about him, that's going to open Odell Beckham up to have a crazy year, and or Shepard to have a crazy year. Because listen, the three of them are plus receivers, and if you can get anything out of Donnell, that's even better. Jennings looks phenomenal. Vrain actually looked pretty good as well. I think that this offense is going to drop 35 on a bad Redskins defense.
Yeah, I'll save my takes for last. But, Mike, I know you're a Giants fan as well. How do you see this game playing out?
They have all the recipes, meaning the Giants, to win this game. They're already, if you notice, they're already complaining about Kirk Cousins, the offenses that is. They're already whining about Kirk Cousins down there. So there's so much dysfunction. And they don't look like a team that can come here, get it together against the Giants. That defense didn't, they bended, but they didn't break against Dallas. They were wonderful against New Orleans. They should be wonderful here. The only way that the Giants can mess this game up, which you always have to worry about because they are the Giants, at least in these last few years, is Odell Beckham letting Josh Norman get into his head. You don't want to play the game of mental warfare. OBJ knows that. OBJ's got to be smart. He's got to keep his temper in check. Norman wants him to get riled up. Norman wants him to try to, get scrappy with him. As long as OBJ doesn't do that and just focuses on the task at hand, which is basically destroying an completely overrated cornerback, the Giants are going 3-0, and the Redskins season is over.
Well, we can only hope that's the case. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to do what he did last year, numbers-wise, and that is destroy Josh Norman. He's going to put up 100 yards. He might not get a touchdown. He doesn't need to because, as John mentioned, you got the Cha-Cha man himself, the Salsa man himself, Victor Cruz over there. He's going to be open scoring touchdowns. Sterling Shepard, who is going to have a great year. I would actually say the Giants probably have the top, if not one of the top 5 receiving cores in the NFL. You got Larry Donnell, who's going to be open, and Will Tye at tight end / fullback. Rashad Jennings has looked great. Shane Vereen's looked great. As long as he doesn't do what he does best, and that's throw interceptions, I think this should be an easy win. And sorry, Kirk Cousins, you won't like that. There you have it. So that's our football picks for the week. We didn't go through all the games this week. We just went through the top games of importance, other than the Browns and Dolphins, which obviously isn't that important. That was a joke. But Mike, thanks for calling in. Anytime you want to call in to talk football or whatever, definitely got to have you back on when the NBA season rolls around to talk New York Knicks.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully they do well this year, and thanks for having me on, as always. I got some more good Francesa calls, I'm sure, up my sleeve. Stay tuned for that. And thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure catching up with you guys, and I tracked you guys from Knick Knack News, and now here to spam.
All right, if anyone wants to contact Mike, he's at original_MC1. That's where you can find him on Twitter. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too. I was actually about to say that. Hey, why don't you plug yourself?
Oh,
You're on top of it, Nick.
Yeah, right there. And then, John, the last game of the week is the Monday night game, Falcons Saints. Here's my prediction. No one's going to be watching. Everyone's going to be watching the presidential debate at Hofstra University. How do you think that's going to play out?
So, I don't know if I told you this, but me and my buddy Brian are actually going to the bar to watch the debate. It's like a event. I cannot wait.
Well, as Andrew mentioned earlier on the show, he'll be covering it for us. But you're going to be all over that. So look for a very in-depth review next Wednesday. It's going to be must-listen radio right here on the UCY.TV radio network. And like I said to Andrew earlier, man, Hillary is going to have a tough time. Her allergies are going to be really acting up. She's going to be very close to Donald Trump, who she claims is allergic to. How many times is Hillary going to be coughing during this event?
I'm not sure, but I just read a story today in the Gateway Pulpit, which is sort of like the TMZ for politics. So it's not like a great source, but they don't just make shit up. But they said that there's rumblings on insiders that Hillary might skip the debate.
Wow, wouldn't that be something? That would be, because the recent polls now, after she called us deplorable, I think that Trump's looking really far ahead in the polls, and maybe she's worried that this could be the end of her.
So I know that, I'm probably a little bit more in the weeds about it than most, but the DNC email leaks, they released a whole other batch of emails today. You can go check them out at the DNC email leak website and WikiLeaks, wikileaks.org. But so apparently these are even more emails, and like the pay for play and a lot of the other stuff is like sort of, it's getting more and more worked out. But Julian Assange still has his October surprise, and I wouldn't be shocked if he released something before the debates on Monday to make sure that they talk about it at the debate. So there's a bombshell coming, and I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but it's going to be a big one.
Wow, that would be really, really insane if that happens. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. The other news, politically wise, this week is that Hillary picked up 800 more votes, and she is going. It's because something happened with Homeland Security, with special interest countries, and 800 people are granted citizenship because their fingerprints were missing from government databases. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, it's how do you let 800? That's almost 1,000 people because their fingerprints are missing. Like, I always drill down to this. Like, when anyone, we need to get government-ran healthcare, government-ran blah, blah, blah. The government sucks at what they do. Essentially, if you get a government job, they can't fire you. Doesn't matter how terrible you are or whatever you do. So shit like this happens, and there's no repercussions. So we shouldn't have the government involved in anything, at the bare minimum. And unfortunately, one of the bare minimums is, I don't know, checking people's fingerprints to see who they really are. It's a real disgrace, and we need to plunge purify our system by just like doing reviews on people. And if they have negative sit reps and negative reviews and they're bad at their job, they should get fired. Like, the fact you work for the government shouldn't stop you from getting fired. That's outrageous.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of things that are going on that are just not good right now. The thing that's not going on good, the worst thing is that we got these idiot bombers here coming into the city and New Jersey, setting off these pressure cookers. And then we have the mayor of New York City saying, we know it's an intentional act, but it's not terrorism. I mean, how dumb and clueless could Bill de Blasio be there? You got the governor of New York saying it was terrorism, and Andrew Cuomo. Those guys are never on the same page. Then you had Donald Trump, who right away said it was a bomb, and people are like, how dare he say it's a bomb and a terrorist threat? I mean, this guy is the Republican presidential candidate. He obviously has access to the Secret Service who are around him 24/7. He's a New Yorker too. He knows what's going on. Then you have Hillary, who originally said it was a bomb, and then she backed off of that because Trump said it was a bomb. The media is trying to portray, Trump the wrong way here when he did nothing wrong, and it's just an absolute shitstorm right now.
Yeah, a complete media hit job. Like, first of all, did you see the presser of Hillary on the back of that airplane? It looks like they had to wake her up to do this press conference. And when they first asked her what's going on, she says there was a bombing in New York and New Jersey. Literally 30 seconds later, the reporter from CNN goes, "Oh, what do you think about Trump calling it a bomb already?" "Oh, that's deplorable, blah, 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 blah." You literally just said it was a bomb. Like, I hate that idea that we have to pretend like we don't know the facts, like we don't have common sense. It was an intentional act. When someone intentionally does something that maims 30 people and terrorizes us, like, it's terrorism. Stop trying to shape the narrative, you shithead. And I got to tell you, I'm really upset with the media because I knew that they were biased for Hillary, but the way that they buried this terrorist story is they're so astounding to me. There was multiple bombings in New York and New Jersey over the weekend, and Monday morning I listened to the radio on the way to work, and the lead story is about what Trump said something about Hillary's Secret Service shouldn't have guns because she's anti-gun. Like, just a nonsense political bullshit story. Meanwhile, there's an active terrorist out on the fucking streets.
Yeah, I'm surprised how little national coverage this got. And, apparently this guy, he has ties to Al-Qaeda or ISIS or something. I mean, they got to investigate this more. But kudos to the police finding this moron after 2 days. I mean, this guy didn't do anything to cover up his tracks.
Well, honestly, I would say that he planned on dying and then like chickened out or something, because it's a very much like the cookie cutter model. He's very similar to the Boston Bombers, where he was a naturalized citizen, so he came here when he was like 7 years old. And then he went back to Afghanistan at some point and got radicalized. He had a wife or something. But this is something that, the regular mainstream media is not going to tell you, that I'm going to tell our listeners about. I read this in, I think, the Wall Street Journal or something. So his wife left for Afghanistan 2 days ago, 2 days prior to the bombing. So you're telling me she didn't know what was going on? So when Trump said about, we need to, target their families, and people went freaking nuts over it. Listen, the people close to them are completely implicit. And look at San Bernardino, where the wife was actually an active member of it. The idea is, the way that we structure military is, the man goes off to war, the family stays back home, and it's, completely separate. They're very much combined. And the idea that she went to Afghanistan, how about this? The Orlando massacre, where's his wife? She's missing. He sold his house to his brother-in-law for $100 a month before this. Obviously he planned on dying, you know what I mean? So and obviously his brother-in-law knew about it, and he didn't say anything. So, the idea that they're letting this type of mass murder happen, they're complicit. They're just as guilty.
Yeah, and when this guy in particular, there's so many signs that these people are going to go, off the hands here. This guy, this idiot bomber, and his name, we won't mention him because he's a disgrace. His name doesn't deserve to be mentioned. But I will say, to be 5'6" and 200 pounds, I mean, what a weird, how does this guy buy jeans or pants? You got a 48 waist but a 28 length? That's impossible to get. But apparently his father reported him a while back saying my son's a terrorist or something, and that was just ignored.
Yeah, so Obama's administration, and everything sort of bleeds down from the top. They very much made a conscious effort to don't surveil mosques, don't upset Muslims, blah 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 blah. So in reality, when someone see something, say something, it doesn't really matter if you say something and they don't do anything about it. And the marching orders from above, Obama and all the people he appointed, Loretta Lynch and all these idiots, unless there's a smoking gun, no, maybe it's not terrorism. Maybe it's just intentional. My thing is this: why are we letting people travel back and forth to war-torn countries? The idea, this is a big problem in Germany right now. You have refugees from Syria or wherever, and then they go back to Syria on vacation. But I thought you were a refugee running for your life.
Yeah, and now you got these people. Apparently this week there was some story on one of the news outlets. Some Syrian family came here, and they got a free house or something. But meanwhile, you got Americans on the streets, families of Americans on the streets. It's truly disgraceful that America is not putting American needs first.
The one story that got no press over the weekend was that the Mall of America, a Somalian Muslim man went around the mall asking people if they're a Muslim, and then when they said no, he fucking attacked them with a knife. And it took an off-duty police officer to shoot him with his off-duty firearm to stop the essentially massacre. He stabbed 9 people, and ISIS has taken credit for it. So why is that not a story? We had a terrorist attack stabbing people in a mall who identified as non-Muslim. If that's not a terrorist attack, what is? And it all happened within this 48-hour span. And the media just la 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 la. Even Republican quote unquote outlets they're just as bad. The cover of the New York Post was about Brad Pitt getting divorced. Who gives a shit? There's an active terrorist attack. It just happened. What the hell?
Yeah, and it's just not good what's going on right now.
We're very much in a pre-9/11 mindset. Prior to 9/11, there was the U.S. coal bombing, and then there was the 93 terrorist attack in the World Trade Center, and then there was the bombings in the embassies in Kenya, and all of that stuff, and the American people, they didn't give a fuck. They were worried about Bill Clinton getting blowjobs. And then 9/11 happened because we were just so, they weren't over us. We weren't over them.
Why did the mayor of New York City not say it was a terrorist attack?
because his boy because Hillary is his master that has his leash, and a terrorist attack breaks the narrative of everything's better now than it ever was. This magical land we live in. I don't know if you listened to the speech with Obama at the UN, but he painted a picture of America that doesn't exist. It's nonsense. Oh, it's the best it's ever been.
Yep.
What?
The way that they're campaigning right now it's sickening. Someone who used to campaign for Hillary, his ex-wife now, certainly is campaigning for Hillary. And then that is one of our, most talked about topics, the sickening, disgraceful, we just talked about this earlier, but you weren't here, I gotta get your take on this. Anthony Weiner caught sexting a 15-year-old girl. How disgusting and sick is this guy? Yeah,
that story actually broke when me and Angel were at lunch today. He had like a little feud on Twitter with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump called him a known pervert, and people went like nuts. Oh, he that blah 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 blah. Well, it turns out that he is a known pervert. Never mind pervert or sex addict or any other bullshit that he was saying prior to. The guy's a pedophile and a deviant. He knows this girl's a junior in high school, and he's having Skype sex with her. Like, they need to lock this guy up. And the only reason he's not already locked up, because I'm sure if this is what we know about, what don't we know about, is the fact that he was in bed with the Clintons. The Clinton crime syndicate is far-reaching and insane. And I got to tell you, George W. Bush saying that he's going to vote for Hillary was like such a slap in the face to like any Republican in this country. And it just shows you how corrupt both sides, left and right, are just essentially, different sides of the same coin. The Washington establishment cares about the Washington establishment.
Yeah, it's like we've just been saying. The theme here tonight is the way the Democrats are doing this whole campaigning is very corrupt. And, we shouldn't be surprised because wasn't the Clinton administration corrupt in the late 90s?
Absolutely. Look at the Clinton closet full of skeletons with Watergate and Whitewater, and they've been involved in, corruption ties from even when they were in Arkansas with their nonsense back then. Hillary Clinton in her own book says that when they left the White House, they were not only dead broke, but in debt from spending all this money running for president. How? So what have they done now that they're 100 millionaires? Because they don't sell any products, they don't own any businesses, and neither of them have had a job. So how did they go from dead broke to 100 millionaires? How did that happen?
I don't know, but they are definitely eating well, and I'm just curious, and all our listeners are as well. You ate lunch with Andrew today. He was telling us how you broke the news to him during the business meeting you guys had today. Where did you eat lunch? Where did this business meeting take place?
The Blarney Rock Pub on 33rd Street.
Now, did Andrew get his ribs? He was telling me earlier today in a message that he was hoping to get ribs.
He did, and I told him I can't eat ribs in public because I get them all over myself like a little kid. So I had the bacon cheeseburger, and he had ribs. It was delicious.
All right, so there you had another business meeting between John and Andrew, and like we said, the first presidential debate Monday night. We'll have in-depth reaction and analysis on Wednesday from our field reporter Andrew, and of course John, who's going to be locked in if he's not. Hopefully, you could hear everything in the bar. Hopefully, everyone's paying attention because it's going to be a historic night. And if Hillary doesn't show up, we'll have to just, I guess. It'll be huge ratings, and Trump will just be talking for 3 hours.
No, I think they'll probably cancel.
Yeah.